Let's bring in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, the picture it paints is so sad. So many failures to hear. This child was forced to see his father through the child welfare system that's supposed to protect children, and that the very first visit, he had a swollen lip and said, yeah, Dad did it. And then for this grandfather to say, this man has a bad anger issue, he is hateful, he just lied, what he said, don't believe him. This paints a picture that I think lends towards, if I were the judge, a maximum sentence for this criminal, convicted killer.
You know, Judge, actually, this is the most difficult part of being a judge. This is it, because at the end of this hearing, that judge is going to go back to his chambers, grab his car keys, get in his sedan and go home, right? And he's got to deal with whatever he does. Like all these big decisions lie on this judge, right? And so this is tough because you have a situation where you have a young man in the courtroom who lost a son at his own hands, and pretty much everybody except for his family are coming in and painting him out to be a monster. And you as a judge, you really don't know. As far as whether or not it'll be the maximum sentence, I don't know if it would stand up on appeal to sentence him to 40 years for this, because at the end of the day, I believe that the jury's verdict was just. I was worried that they might convict him of the murder too, but they convicted him of the right, proper, appropriate charge, right? The aggravated manslaughter. I don't know if 40 years would stand up on appeal. For some reason, this has 15 to 25 years for me. And, you know, the prosecutor laid in on him. She basically said everything. None of these mitigating factors exist. I don't know if I would go that far. However, it was torturous to go through the evidence of what happened with his son and how he died alone, or how he died in the hospital alone. There's definitely a depraved heart, but somebody could also say he was just a complete idiot. He didn't know what he was doing. At the end of the day, when you have a kid, you bear the responsibility. That person is your vessel. So this is a tough one, Judge Ashley. I'll be straight up with you. This is why I would never want to be a judge, because I would have to make these decisions every day, and this is going to live with you no matter what. Being a judge is a lot harder than being an attorney, by far, for this. Sure,
and you have to be able to sleep at night, and I'm going to tell you firsthand knowledge of being a judge, you don't sleep at night. But having said that, I don't think it's that hard in this case yet. Now, we haven't heard all of the statements. We haven't heard anything else that might be presented. So I'll reserve my judgment, but I am going to say that he said to the court, to them, I didn't do anything wrong. And so when you have an individual who won't even accept accountability for how he treated him on the treadmill or what he was doing with him on the video and says, I didn't do anything wrong, I don't think he thinks he did anything wrong. And in fact, he may not think that he has an anger management issue or did anything with his son that was inappropriate. And I think that's where the problem is. But one more question I have to ask you, because I do agree with you. I don't think the state could say there's no mitigating factors. There's always something, in my opinion, that is a true mitigating factor under the law. So they articulated a few of them, but don't you think that there's always going to be something for a person that works in their favor, even if the jury has convicted, that does cause one to see that there needs to be an opportunity for mercy?
Yeah, this judge has seen many people who were convicted of the same exact crime, but in front of him, those people have gone to jail for armed robbery, larceny. They've lied to people, they've defrauded, they've done check fraud, and so that matters. And there's a reason why that's part of the mitigating factors, is because it matters, right? And then when he was doing his allocution in front of this judge, he said, "Look, I didn't know how sick he was," right? There is a world where this guy was so stupid and so dumb that he actually thought that by putting his son on the treadmill would actually help his son, as opposed to hurting his son, or eventually killing his son, right? There is a world where a person is that stupid and that dumb. I know of people that are that dumb. I've defended people who are that dumb. But yeah, it's a mitigating factor that he doesn't have a criminal history, right? There's a reason why, because most of the people that get sentenced for this same crime in front of this judge, they've been to jail. They've pled literally guilty to misdemeanor after misdemeanor. So I think there's a reason why it's a mitigating factor, because it's a mitigating factor and it should be looked at. And the one thing that's going in his favor is his father, right? His father is definitely the opposite of a monster. You know, you feel for him. So I think this to me sticks like a 20-year, 15 to 20-year, 15 to 25-ish type of thing. That's how it looks to me.
All right, check your text. We'll have a little wager going on the side, because the other interesting part is I have heard attorneys argue the opposite of what you just said about no criminal history. Some attorneys have argued when they're working for the state, the prosecution, and say that's even worse. They should have known better. They don't have a criminal history. They weren't raised in circumstances where they had to rob, cheat, and steal in order to put food on their plate. So he should have known better, and being stupid or dumb's no excuse. But again, I don't know what this judge is going to do. You are right. It's a hard decision for any judge. All right. Still with us, National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, I'm comfortable enough with you to put you on the spot and say, how do you feel now hearing that, and the chronic abuse that this child suffered? Do you still believe your 15, I think you said 15 to 25 years versus my 40 years?
Yeah, I think that was devastating, Judge Ashley. I think it was absolutely devastating, but here's my opinion. 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan was in his first term as president. That's a long time, and a jury of his peers have already decided that he did not intend to kill his son. They've already decided that. They acquitted him of that, right? That question was before them, and they decided that he did not intend to kill his son. He's still a criminal. He was still convicted of what I believe the proper crime. I just don't believe that that amount of time would be handed by this judge. This is why, again, why being a judge is the most difficult place in the jurisprudence system there is. It's way more difficult than being an attorney. This judge sees cases like these, 180 to 200 cases a month, where those attorneys see one or two of those cases and they prepare for a year. But that judge has to sit there and decide, he has to call balls and strikes all day, every single day, every week. And then his payoff is a government job and making decisions like this. It's a difficult job. But because a jury of his peers have already decided that he did not intend to kill his son, and because of the fact that 40 years is 4 decades, I just don't see it. Now, I was in Atlanta last September, and I saw you predict cases, and you were right on them. At the risk of me being wrong again, I'm going to stick to my 15 to 25 years. Again, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing how right you were on them. I'm going to stick to my guns on this one.
And, you know, I'm certain, I expect this judge to lay out in whatever ruling he makes the aggravating factors and the mitigating factors, because to your point, that's what the judge has to consider, has to look at those. And this defendant does have a lot of family support. Michael, in the last 15 seconds, in your experience, how important is it that the defendant actually has family there? Because they don't always.
Everything. It's everything, Judge Ashley, because this judge is looking for something to go to sleep. He's not going to sleep at night, but he's looking for something. If no family comes in, or even worse, sometimes your family comes in and say, he's a monster, he's my brother, I hate him. It's everything, Judge Ashley. It's absolutely the whole entire thing for this person. It shaves off a whole decade.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So we'll see what this judge does. Thank you so much, Michael Jaafar, for joining us this hour.